You've reached the channel High Voltage, and welcome to Adult Story Time. I prefer to do this live because I've never been an editor, and I'm just going to dive right into it. This book is called The Exorcism of Anneliese Micheal. It's based on the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which starred Jennifer Carpenter, Laura Linney, George C. Scott. And the script was based on this book called The Exorcism of Anneliese Micheal. I'm not showing pictures. I am not referring to the movie. The movie was a very accurate depiction of the book, but there are details in this book that haven't been shared. Today being March the 7th of 2025, I'll be beginning a brand new playlist, and it's called The Exorcism of Anneliese Micheal. And after these readings are complete, I will put or place them underneath the playlist. I'm also doing a raffle for a $100 cash giveaway. And just for showing up and signing up, even if you don't answer all the questions correctly, you get a $25 Amazon ticket. And for those of you that answer the questions correctly from the playlist from this channel, China Blue Book Nook, whoever answers the most questions gets $100 cash from me, either through PayPal if you don't trust me, or through email transfer if you do trust me. And Random Citizen, Melody Moon, T-Bird, and Trevor are going to write testimonials as to what this channel is about, which you can find on the community page. So, this book is written by Felicia Goodman, and she was with us from 1914 to 2005. She was an associate professor of anthropology at Denison University in Ohio. And she spent years writing this book, and she devotes it to Bucking Bill in gratitude for his advice and encouragement. So today we are reading the entirety of the introduction. For those of you that have heard me say that in the past, well, gird your loins because it's happening. I have a magnifying glass now, so I won't sound like I'm two. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm reading the introduction, so just close your eyes, put it beside your bed while you're doing your housework, whatever you're doing. I'm going to read it to the best of my abilities. And then tomorrow we'll discuss the introduction. And then the next day I'll read the author's note, we'll discuss. And the next day we'll read chapter 1 and we'll discuss. And so on and so on and so on. And based on the chapters and the discussions for this book club, it'd be nice if you would subscribe, and if you don't want to, no problem. Do what you wanna do. Nobody's stopping you. All right, introduction. In the rural community of Bavaria called Klingenberg, in a modern two-storied house on Mittler Weg, a young student by the name of Anneliese Micheal died in the summer of 1976 of what appeared to be severe battery and starvation. She had contusions on her face, hands, arms, and legs, and was frighteningly emaciated. The physician whom her father asked for a death certificate refused to issue it because he could not be sure that she had died of natural causes. A priest who had called the district attorney's office in Aschenfenberg the same day spoke of demonic possession and exorcism. Other details soon became public. Her physician, it was said, had suspected that she was suffering from epileptic fits. Her parents, however, believed that she was possessed by demons. In response to their request, and with the official permission of the Bishop of Würzburg, Dr. Joseph Stangl, two priests carried out ritual of exorcism. It was done in total secrecy and lasted for months up to the time of Anneliese's death. Despite her obvious physical deterioration, none of the persons in on the secret, it was alleged, sought medical help for her, help that supposedly could have saved her life. Now, I'm just moving over to turn on my microphone because I tend to speak very loudly and it interrupts when I'm reading a book. So, digest that first page for a minute because there's about 5 more to come. The German wire services promptly picked up the story. The German wire services promptly picked up the story. The American film, The Exorcist, had been seen in Germany. The public was also perturbed over a debate that had followed some thesis published by a well-known Tübingen theology professor, Herbert Haag. That's with 2 A's. Was the devil only a symbolic representation of the concept of evil, or did demonic forces have an objective existence? There had been strident comments, much publicized on both sides. Here, now, was an actual case where the two opposing views met head on, like a Mexican standoff. The Catholic Church apparently had flown in the face of modern science and had upheld the idea of the objective existence of honored devils and the rest of the hellish horde. Magic rites had been carried out in back rooms, secreted behind the silk curtains of the mother church, resulting in the death of an innocent young girl. There was no end to sensationalism. Nor did public interest wane with the passage of time. In August, nearly 2 months after Anneliese's death, the Bavarian radio service reported that the case continued to fire the public imagination. Not many people knew what exorcism was. The commentator said, since permission for it had been granted only rarely in the 20th century, not many, that is, until the Anneliese Micheal case came along. At her bedside, it seems, there were not only prayers against evil. What the priests attempted was rather a kind of magical expulsion of demons in the style of religious fanatics of the early Middle Ages. The speaker priests, however, were not magicians. The German's Catholic Church would do well to follow the lead of the bishop and make a clear distinction between magic and religion. When asked about exorcism, the bishop has stated that he had never granted any permission for exorcism and would not do so in the future, for Christian faith is too sacred a property and must be protected against all manner of superstition. Absorb that page. Just a week before this broadcast, and apparently unbeknown to the Bavarian radio service, the superstition had proved its power once more in a striking way. A citizen of the community, which is not too far from Klingenberg, called the authorities in Aschenbenberg. He would not give his name, but he reported that the Catholic priest of the village, Pastor Hermann Heim, was playing some tapes over a loudspeaker of the Zum Rose, a local tavern. He assumed that these tapes had been made during the exorcism sessions with Anneliese Micheal. The screams, the throaty obscenities of the demons were causing a near panic. The district attorney ordered them confiscated as probable material evidence in the Anneliese Micheal case. He also ordered the priest frisked, an unheard of action against a man of the cloth, and in his living quarters and belongings searched. That is very rare in that time. Stunned by the vindictive reaction of the legal authorities and with the witch hunt mood of the public, the Bishop of Winsburg now denied any support to what the radio commenter had called elements of primitive culture. But it was too late. Layman from away, the country filed suit against him from Munich. Nuremberg, Winspen, Remscheid, Karlstadt, and other places, moving among them with a number of lawyers. After a prolonged and very thorough investigation, Anneliese's parents and the two priests who had carried out the exorcisms were accused of negligent homicide. This case became the trial of the century in the spring of 1978 in the district court of Aschenberg. The media had another field day. Bavaria was characterized in the headlines as the land where the demons howl. Such nonsense must be noticed and rooted out, was the demand. The parents and the priests must be punished to the fullest extent of the law. Bishop Snaggle carried part of the blame for the girl's death. Eventually, the court in Aschenberg dismissed the suits against the bishop, but the attacks had done their work. He laid down his office and soon after suffered a stroke. Brought on, his friend said, by the grief the case caused him. He lost his power of speech and died on April the 8th, 1979, without ever regaining it. The severity of the sentences out to the 4 accused, going well beyond what the prosecution had asked for, surprised even the most vocal exponents of public outrage against backcountry demon frenzy. Partly for this reason, and partially because some fundamental religious issues were at stake, the debate about the case has not subsided to this day. A year or more after the trial, a number of books have been published. Well, that is an interesting first chapter. I'm looking forward to hearing the author's note. If you have liked any of this, you know what YouTube etiquette is. I'm not going through it. And I thank you for joining me today. And I'll be here tomorrow for a little quick discussion. And I'll put the comments on. I will turn the comments off, read episode 2 with my face. And I will see you all book lovers tomorrow. Hey. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that made a wretch like me. Well, I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. See you all on March the 8th.